This video is called Mental Illness is Not Your Fault Because You Have 8 Brains. Now, in evolution, we started out as little plants in the sea. We evolved into fish, we evolved into lizards, we evolved into crawling creatures, dinosaurs, chickens, birds, snakes, insects, all kinds of things we evolved into. And eventually we evolved into this human form. And within this human form is all of that information and all of that evolution and all of those animals. And during our particular evolution, we evolved to have lots and lots of different parts of our body which have different functions. And essentially we have 8 brains. And we also have organs like the sexual organs and the kidney and the liver. And all of these things in our body have the ability to have a consciousness. So they understand what their function is and what they need to do. And they have an ability to communicate with our body. And all of these things are actually in a battle for control over your body. You don't just have one brain controlling everything. You have 8 brains plus organs, sexual organs, in all kinds of things in your body that are all like little personalities that have a certain function and they have certain needs. And they are producing chemicals and hormones all the time that are battling with each other to control your experience and your decisions. So mental illness is not something you can blame yourself for. Blaming yourself for it is a lie. Saying, I have mental illness because I'm a bad person, or I didn't do this, or I've got bad karma, or, it was my fault the relationship broke up, and if only I studied harder, I would have a better job. And all of this is complete nonsense, because everything that happened in your life was beyond your conscious control, and you're basically at the whim and the will of these many subconscious elements. So evolution as a species is replicated in our lives. So we start out as this little tiny thing and we develop and we grow and we replicate evolution. We evolve in our lifetime into this physical being. And the brains, the 8 brains that we develop in this process, they have a hierarchy. So one brain has more authority than the other brains. And the last brain in this hierarchy is your consciousness, the thing that you're looking at me with now and you understand to be who you are. And my consciousness is Shawnee, and whatever I believe, I have this identity and ego which is designed to interact with you and the outside world, but it is not the brain that controls me. This brain is just an interpreter, an advisor, and the other brains within my body are all doing these things. Sorry. And what my conscious brain is doing is saying, look, we need to interact with the outside world. So we need to try and do it in this way, and these things are not okay, and these things are okay, and this is a danger, and this is safe. This is my enemy, and this is my friend. And I'm instructing my brains of what's happening in the outside world and trying to advise them how to deal with that. And quite often they are just going off and doing whatever they want regardless. So most things that happen in your life, and especially mental illness, is not your fault. Please don't tell yourself it is, because once you go down this line of thinking, you start to head towards suicide and wanting to kill yourself. And it's just a complete lie that any of this is your fault. And I'm going to explain that the 8 brains. And they develop, when you're a little fetus, they develop one by one. So the first thing is the heart. The heart is a brain. Its function is to keep you alive. It has this pulse, this electronic pulse that is in tune with the pulse of the universe. And it pulses, and it can increase and it can slow down. And it exists in 3 states. And the most common state is what I call motivational states. So it just pumps at a certain rate that allows you to move around and function normally. And then it has a relaxed state where it slows down and you go to sleep. And then it has a stressed state where it speeds up. And this is to help you defend yourself or run away. It's to give you adrenaline so that you can perform really well. If you're an actor or you need to do a test or something, your heart will start to get stressed and pump more blood and create more hormones and chemicals for you to function at a super high rate. That is the purpose of the heart, and it is the fundamental brain. It acts like a brain. The scientists now have studied the heart, and it has neural pathways just like the brain does, and it functions just like a brain does. It's a very complicated thing. It's not just for pumping blood. It actually thinks and it feels and it can communicate in emotions. So the next brain is your nervous system. Now the nervous system is very closely related to the heart, and there's an interaction of chemicals between the nervous system. And the nervous system is basically the structure of your whole body. It allows you to move and to speak and to look and to do all the things. It is the internet. You can call it the internet of your body, which communicates and allows function between all of the brains and all of the organs. So the nervous system is very important. The next most important brain is the digestive system. And then the digestive system can be broken down into several brains, the stomach and the bowel and so on and so forth, if you really want to. But basically, science is now finding that like the heart, the stomach has neural pathways. It can think, it has feelings, emotions, it has the ability to communicate with your body and your consciousness with chemicals. And it is a really complex system of taking in food and using that to give you energy. And it's very, very important. It's not to be underestimated. And most mental illness is because we don't understand the stomach and we don't treat the stomach well. So the next brain is the autoimmune system. Now, the autoimmune system is your whole body. Your skin, your smell, your breathing, your digestive system. The whole thing is a defense mechanism designed to keep you alive. So the autoimmune system is not only internal, but it's external. So if you get bitten by an insect, your skin will swell up, and it warns you there's some problem. So the autoimmune system communicates with chemicals, and its main communication is inflammation. Just about everything to do with the autoimmune system is inflammation, which translates as stress and pain. So, for example, if the sun is too bright, you'll get pain in the eyes, and you'll close your eyes to protect yourself from that. Something bites you on the skin, you get a cut, whatever, you get inflamed. Some food goes into your body that's not good, you'll throw it up, you'll get inflamed. If there's some food that you're allergic to, like peanuts, you'll have a super inflammatory response, and you could die. So you have to be really careful of that. So everything to do with the immune system is inflammatory, and it's very sensitive. And it's not just about the things that touch your body or go into your body. It is also about what you experience in your environment. And so if there's some potential danger in your environment, your autoimmune system produces stress and it produces inflammation. And this is to motivate you to get out of that situation and make yourself safe. So stress can be internal and it can be external, and it all has a physiological response to the autoimmune system. So understanding the autoimmune system is important for understanding mental health, because mental health is not just your consciousness. It's all your brains and your digestive system and your autoimmune system and your nervous system. They're all brains, they're all mental. And so mental illness is a combination of all of these elements working together, or not functioning together in disharmony, which is mental illness, right? So then we get to the four brains that exist in your skull. The first brain they call the reptilian brain. This is believed in evolution to be the first brain that developed when we went from being fish to being reptiles. We developed this reptilian brain, which is actually very small, right at the back of your skull. This brain has precedence over your other brains in your head. It doesn't have precedence over your heart, your nervous system, your digestive system, and your autoimmune system. These things are all functioning automatically without you having any control over them. They just go. Your heartbeat goes, and you have no control over that. You can't control, the diarrhea when you get diarrhea, and your nervous system when you get nervous, and you can't control these things. That's just a fact. These things are happening subconsciously, and that's why it's not your fault. But then we have the reptilian brain, which is more intellectual and more relative to the outside world, and its main function is eat, sleep, and defend. It's only concerned with survival. It wants to eat, it wants to sleep, and it's defensive. It's very aggressive. It's always on the lookout for possible danger, and it's a little bit paranoid, and it will imagine danger because that keeps you safe. Imagining danger before it happens and sort of predicting possible danger is what allows you to make decisions to avoid situations. So it's very good. The reptilian brain is very good, and it's operating at a subconscious level. And in the old days, when they talk about subconscious, we sort of got this idea that we had a personality that we knew, and then a personality that we don't know in our subconscious. And really what it is this reptilian brain making all these decisions unconsciously without us sort of thinking about it. And that's okay, that's good. That helps us stay alive, but also can cause us some problems. So we need to be aware of what it's doing. The next brain we developed is in several physical parts surrounding the reptilian brain, and I like to just generally call that the intellectual brain. And this brain is about learning, because as we were lizards going out into the world and evolving into different animals, we had to learn what the environment is and remember it and try to control it and try to manipulate our DNA to be a species that can live in certain environments. So we have this intellectual brain who's like a Dr. Spock of logic, and its only purpose is to try and understand the environment and interpret it and solve problems. It's the intellectual brain. The next brain we developed is a very important brain for becoming a social creature. And this brain is known as the pineal gland. It's a very small gland that is much misunderstood as yet. It's a very complicated little brain. And its purpose is to give us a connection with the outside world. So in evolutionary terms, we were sort of these animals that were only concerned with our own survival. But then we began to evolve into a collective species. Like humans are a social species, monkeys, ants, bees, birds, a lot of animals that are now in our society. They are a collective species. They work together to help each other survive and to control their environment and to evolve, to breed, whatever. We are a little bit more complicated than most animals, but all of this comes from the pineal gland. The pineal gland is known as the spiritual gland. It produces a variety of chemicals such as DMT and melatonin, which are known as the spiritual molecules. And this brain, the pineal gland, can be switched on and switched off very easily, because there's a certain time in our survival when we need to be selfish and we switch it off, and then there's a certain time in our survival when we need to interact and be sociable and loving and kind and compassionate and connected with other beings, and the pineal gland switches on. And when it's switched on, it produces these chemicals that make you feel connected. You feel connected to animals and trees and people and the universe and God and everything, and you love life. And when it's switched off, the opposite happens, and you feel disconnected and lonely and misunderstood and in hell, and you just hate everything and you're very defensive. And this is a perfect survival function that has been necessary for our evolution. There's no good or bad. It's just necessary. Now, in society, when the elite who understand all this, they're very smart people. They know science, and they can put people on the moon, send cameras off to Mars. The people who run the planet and who are elite, they're very smart. So they understand that doing everything they can to switch off the pineal gland means that they can control people. When the pineal gland is switched on, you want to unify with your family and your friends and your community and come together and overthrow the elite. And they don't want that. But that's okay. We don't need to overthrow the elite. The elite are okay. They're just like us. They're defensive. They want to protect themselves. And once we evolve spiritually to be in a situation where we understand that the elite are not a threat, and the elite understand that we're not a threat, we can work together perfectly. But very important is to open our pineal gland, which is a brain that helps us to instruct us how to live and interact with others in a good way. So then the eighth brain, which is at the front here and